the most important thing in the mains paper is the capacity to recall the content, and the capacity to recall the content can be developed by multiple revisions of the Hello everyone, welcome to Plutus IAS. We have discussed a few things from the prelims perspective in the science and technology part. Now today we are going to focus how to approach science and technology part in paper 3 in mains GS paper. So today we are going to look at how we should approach and tackle the questions from the mains perspective. While tackling the questions, we need to give emphasis on certain things while studying as well as while writing the paper. And briefly, let us start without wasting further time. There are few strategies and tips which we should follow while approaching the mains paper. And first, we will understand the syllabus. You know, UPSC has given syllabus, but it is not explained very well. So we require to first understand the topics given in the syllabus. Understanding means to know what to read in that part of the syllabus, and that will be like that scope will be decided by me and you together by looking at the previous year question papers. If we look at the questions, and syllabus part, then we can infer the following things. Syllabus includes, first it includes the achievements of the Indians in the science and technology. Second, it states indigenization. Third, UPSC has mentioned number of topics only by stating the caption of the topics like IT, computer, robotics, biotechnology, nanotechnology, IPR. These topics does not convey a thorough understanding. These are only like giving a hint about the various types of things UPSC can ask in the exam. So we will be covering these topics in detail, and first we will be deciding the scope of these topics in our classes. And this is only to give you an idea what it all requires to study for the GS paper 3. Understanding is essential for few things. First, it will direct you to study only those things which on which UPSC is going to ask questions in the exam hall. It will save lot of time and effort of you, and it will direct your study very well from the exam perspective. So, reading syllabus is essential for us if we are studying for the mains exam. Along with that, second most important thing is to stay updated. As we discussed already in our first two lectures, that science and technology is a dynamic subject. There are number of developments every day, number of discoveries, advancements in the technological fields that must be taken into account while writing the mains paper. So we must stay updated in the current affairs part. From the current affairs part, we need to focus on two things. First, the various kinds of developments, and we need to correlate those developments with the static part. Developments and correlation with the static part. I think we have discussed lot of things on this aspect, so it must be very clear to you how we have to correlate various things. all these things will be explained by me by taking an example of a question that UPSC has asked in its one of the exam. I will be explaining all these things in detail by taking example. So staying updated is required. How we can stay updated? It can be accessed by following various news articles, scientific journals, and if you are following our classes, then we will be sharing all the developments in the classes along with the static part. So our students will not be required to study all these sources separately. We will be covering all these sources in the class. And the third thing which need to be taken into account is the clarity of the concepts. A strong foundation is required for studying science and technology in the UPSC exam. And a strong foundation can only be built by studying fundamentals of the science. As I stated in my earlier class that we will be covering all the fundamental principles of the science by covering NCERT from class 6th to class 12th. And that's why this part again will be taken care of in the class, but this is of paramount value while answering mains questions as well. Next strategy we must focus is integrate with the current affairs. Generally, the questions in the UPSC are intertwined with the current affairs and the static part. So we cannot evade current affairs entirely, and current affairs are going to help us in two ways. Some questions are direct from the current affairs. So if we are following them, we can answer direct questions. For example, S-400 missile system that was directly asked from the topics from the current affairs. So these kind of questions can be tackled by following the current affairs. Second, current affairs will help us in developing the right perspective to answer those questions even where the theme is not a direct requirement of the question. In those questions also, we can take the help of the current affairs perspective. This perspective will help us in gauging the consequences of various technologies over the society, over the environment, governance and the economy of our country. That is the main part of the mains syllabus, because every question in the mains part will be asking you the consequences of a particular technology over the society and the governance, etc. And if we are studying the current affairs with the right perspective, then only we can write a good answer in the mains part. So we have to be analytical in approach while studying current affairs part. Next tip is we must develop analytical skills. What do I mean by analytical skills? Analytical skills means by reading any topic, by establishing a correlation between cause and effect. This cause and effect relationship will help us in learning the topic thoroughly, and it will be done by us in every topic, and we will be doing it from the mains perspective only. Second, analytical skills, along with this, critical thinking. What do I mean by critical thinking? It means studying a topic by looking at both the sides, like the pros and cons of a topic. So it is required to study every topic from this perspective. How these skills, analytical skills and the critical thinking skills, will help us in the mains part. These two skills will be helping us in predicting various consequences of a technology over the society. In almost all the questions, UPSC asks us about the consequences of a particular development over the society. For example, in earlier class we mentioned a topic about sprinkle irrigation and its impact on the agriculture. So if we are studying any topic by focusing on these two aspects, we will by default be able to write meaningful arguments in our answer. So this approach we are going to follow while studying science and technology part. Next thing is, we should incorporate diagrams and flowchart while writing mains answers. These things will add value to your question. These will enhance quality of your answer. And in the science and technology, there is a huge scope to include flowcharts, because in science we are mentioning any process, like in the biotechnology, if we are sharing anything like a process of gene editing, gene engineering, DNA fingerprinting, then this involves a process, step-by-step process that can be presented in the form of a flowchart. With the help of diagrams and the flowchart, we not only enhance the quality, but this also results into concising your content. It also brings clarity to your content. All these things will add value and depth to your answer, so we must include all these things in the answer writing. Next thing is the case study. What do I mean by the case study? For example, yesterday we discussed one of the study done by California University regarding the gene diversity in Indian subcontinent. This is a kind of case study. If there is a question like there are increasing cardiac patients burden in India, then in any argument we can substantiate that argument with the help of this California University study. Substantiation of arguments is essential in the mains exam. Why? Because if you are saying anything, it will not be very effective. If you substantiate your argument, it will show that you know the theoretical part as well as you know the application of that thing. So try to substantiate as many arguments as you can, and this also helps you in prioritizing your points. Write those points first for which you are having a case studies, because it will give a better impression to the examiner. He will be looking at your copy and he can get that you have substantiated your arguments. So always try to include case studies in your answer. Next thing we need to follow is avoid jargons. Though there is a requirement that we should use technological terms in our answer, but it should not be over. It should not appear that you are a subject expert and whatever you are writing, even the examiner is not able to understand your points. So there is no need to write in that fashion in the UPSC exam. We must be very simple in our language. Language should be like any general audience will be able to understand what you have written in your paper. So this thing must be kept into mind while answering the questions. Answer structure. While answering the mains questions, your structure should be appropriate. Your question will be readable only when you are following a set pattern, and set pattern includes introduction, body and conclusion. I will be discussing with the help of an example what we should write in the introduction, body and the conclusion. But here briefly, introduction is like a preface to the topic you are writing in your body part. So there should be a linkage between the introduction and the body includes the main demand of the answer, what the question is all about. We have to write here all the necessary arguments, draw the diagrams, flow charts, whatever we are required to write in that part. Then conclusion is all about the summary of the points you have written in the body part. We will be writing a summary and we will be leaving it on a positive note. That is all required in the conclusion. This will enhance readability of your answer, and these three basic things should be followed in your answer while writing the mains paper. Next thing is you should practice previous year question papers. Why it is essential? Previous year question papers not only give you the questions to write, but they also hint to most important things. One is pattern of the questions asked by the UPSC in its various years. This will give you a direction where you should go. Second thing, it will also tell you areas, help you in identifying areas which are required to be followed during the preparation. So these two things will be better directed with the help of the previous year question papers. So while studying the previous year question papers, you start writing answers for those questions by yourself. By that way, you will also learn how lengthy questions UPSC is asking. That will also help you in the time management in the exam setting. And after practicing PYQs, you must go on the mock test papers. Mock test papers will help you in gauging your preparation, how efficient you have become by reading or by revising the content. And other thing is that without any doubt it will also help you in time management, which is a crucial factor while writing the mains paper. So you must write as many as mock tests. This will help you by simulate the original exam setting in the institute or at your home setting. So try to write as many mocks as possible. In the end, what is required? The most important thing in the mains paper is the capacity to recall the content. And the capacity to recall the content can be developed by multiple revisions of the things you have studied. So revise again and again and try to recall those things by writing, practicing as many questions as possible. So revision is must. In the end, you have to keep in mind that science and technology is one of the subject in the mains preparation. So you have very limited time. You need to balance your time between all other subjects as well, and your time will be saved by me by giving you very concise, very crisp content, and by teaching you some techniques which can help you in writing a good answer without investing much more time in reading and in increasing the depth of your knowledge. As writing mains questions is also an art. It is not only about knowledge. Most of the students are having very good knowledge, but they are not able to qualify mains exam because it is also an art. We must practice it in that fashion as well. With this part, with this discussion, I will be ending today's class, and in the next class I will be discussing how to write a mains answer by taking one of the example. In that class we will be discussing S-400 system, missile system, how it is superior to all other systems or other missile systems. So we are going to discuss that part. Thank you very much.